What makes the dead of night so creepy? Why is 3 a.m. associated with so much terror? Could there truly be an hour where the spiritual world is more powerful? Today, we test the believability of the witching hour.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
Where we dive into the unknown and the unusual.
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
That is correct. And today, we are talking about the witching hour. Indeed. So, let's break it down. What is the witching hour, aka the devil's hour?
Oh, I didn't know there's another name for it.
Yeah, there's another one that's like the chime something, but it was kind of stupid, so I
Okay.
just left that one out. It didn't
All
make
right.
sense to me. So the witching hour, I'm just going to call it the witching hour from here on out.
Sure.
If you want to translate it in your mind, like I'm saying the devil's hour, go for it.
I think that's creepier.
The devil's hour?
Yeah,
You find devils more creepy than witches?
I do.
I do too. So what is the witching hour? It is strongly believed to be the hour between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. where the veil between our world and the supernatural world, the world of the dead, is at its thinnest. Which likewise, that is when spirits and ghosts have the most power to be able to enter our, whatever you want to call it, world, realm, dimension, however you kind of view the separation between our world and their world. It's at its thinnest, and they're at their most powerful. So others also believe that this is a time period where witches and psychics are the most powerful. Probably
Oh.
because it's part of the veil, too. It's
Right.
like, if you got bulletproof glass between you and somebody, it's a lot harder than if it's like a curtain, you know what I mean? And the 3 a.m. is when it turns into a nice silk curtain. And there are people that attribute the witching hour to be the beginning of a new day, which would actually make it at midnight, but it is more widely believed to be between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. So for the remainder of this episode, we're going to treat it as the witching hour being between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m.
I've heard the midnight thing too, though.
So let's get into a couple reasons or facets of where it comes from and how it came to be.
Okay.
Witchcraft. So in the 1500s, the Catholic Church actually forbade activity between 3 and 4 a.m. due to witchcraft activity. As you know, if you did any research or if you know about the history, witches were not well liked.
Really?
You couldn't put a nice I'm Wiccan sticker on your Ford Explorer back then.
They'd see a coexist sign and just be like, burn them to the ground.
Yes, exactly. Now, no. But back then, yeah. And it was like a lose-lose. Like, it was the, if you drown, you were real, our bad. If you don't, well,
I love
you're
that.
a witch and we're going to burn you.
Like, it's bad that it happened, but I love it. I think it's
Right.
so funny. Just the absence, not absence, but like the logic failure.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a bad time for people. There's also a time to believe when ritualistic sacrifices would be the most prevalent, which I think makes sense because 3 a.m. is such a dark time.
Yes.
And if you're going to do something creepy, like even beyond the idea of it being like a thin veil, it also is like a super, super dark time of the night where it just makes sense if you're going to do something creepy at nighttime. Why not do it in the blanket of night?
Yeah, because in the theory, the moon is almost down, right?
Yeah, it's like the sun. It's like between the sunset and sunrise, 3 a.m. is like the perfect time where it's just... Because you can still see a little bit of light after sunset, and you can start seeing the sun come up in the birds chirp, and you feel like, shit, like, why am I still awake? It's between those times. Second facet, religion. So Jesus was believed to have died at 3 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
So think about all those horror movies that tell you, like, the upside down cross is like a mockery, whereas the witching hour being 3 a.m. is a mockery of Jesus dying at 3 p.m. It just goes along with threes.
Gotcha.
They like the three knocks.
Yeah.
And, the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. So the 3 a.m. is just kind of like thinking about that type of thing. The upside down cross, the mockery of that, mockery of Jesus' death.
Is it all spirits have more access in the veil, or is it just darker spirits? Because if it was darker spirits, I'd understand that. But if it was all spirits, that doesn't make as much sense to me.
There's not as much of a definition. It's
Okay.
just kind of like, I mean, it's definitely tied to more violent spirits. That's kind of where 3M gets its mark. So maybe it's not like, if you believe that humans become ghosts, maybe not. where it's more like demonic fallen angel activity.
That makes sense.
It's more tied into that. Obviously, there was no guidebook or rule book to the 3 a.m. So it's a lot of pulling hairs here and there.
Yeah.
But from what I saw and what I've heard and what I've read, it doesn't seem to be like if your uncle passed away, wait up at 3 a.m. to catch up and tell them the Indians are changing their name. So let's look at a couple examples of where 3 a.m. comes into play. You've probably heard of this.
Okay.
The Amityville Horror.
Yes.
You've heard of that?
Yeah.
All right, so for the people that need a refresher or the people that haven't heard of it, let's talk about the Amityville Horror really quick. So here's a breakdown of what happened. So around 6:30 p.m. Wednesday in the 1970s, it was November 13th, 1974, a young Ronald DeFeo, D-E-F-E-O, could be DeFeo?
I think it's DeFeo.
DeFeo, okay. Walks into a bar in Long Island, New York, and he just yells, "You gotta help me. I think my mother and father are shot." So then DeFeo and a small group of people, they go over to his home. You know, they call the police because there's expected to be people shot. And the police find that 6 members of the family are dead inside their beds.
I hate it.
The victims were Ronald DeFeo's parents, his 4 siblings, Don, Allison, Mark, and John Math. He's got 2 first names. So all the victims were shot with a .35 caliber level action Marlin 336C rifle. For those of you that are absolute nerds with guns, there you go. Me, I have no idea what that is.
I know it's a very loud gun.
Right. I don't know that. DeFeo's parents had been shot twice, while the children had all been killed with single shots. And they were all facing with their heads down on the pillow. Face down on the pillow. And the killings were believed to have taken place at...
Is it 3 a.m.?
3 a.m. That is correct. The witching hour.
Yes.
So he was taken to a local police station for protection because he was actually saying that there was like a mafia hitman.
Yeah.
Like that's what he told him originally. But then the more they talked to him, the more his case started breaking down and his what he was saying wasn't quite adding up. And then he just confessed to killing them himself and said, once I started, I couldn't stop. So there's a lot of people that have kind of, it's a sad story. It's an absolute tragedy. But a lot of people have taken the story and kind of twisted it into being like a creepy, what was convincing him to do this. And that was kind of tied into the 3 a.m. because that's when it took place. And we'll leave it at that. Have you heard of La Mala Hora?
That sounds another language. I do not know.
La Mala Hora? It's not English.
Okay.
It translates to the evil hour. Yeah. La Mala Hora is actually a like southwestern type story. It's something they believe like an urban legend down there.
Okay.
Or right where you are if you're listening to it from there. And you already know the story. La Mala Hora is an evil spirit that wanders along quiet roads and crossroads around 3 a.m., the dead of night, and there's been multiple iterations, startle unsuspecting travelers and kill unsuspecting travelers. It's kind of like a warning, like don't walk off on your own. That's kind of, but it's like it's tied to the 3 a.m., the witching hour. So what they say is La Mala Hora takes pleasure in driving humans insane. It can come at you as a dark, shapeless entity, and it hypnotizes you, it paralyzes you, and then it can either attack you while you're in the weakened state, or it can just kill you by suffocation and then leave your body by the side of the road. Apparently, citizens of New Mexico, they just prefer not to talk about it. It's kind of like it's just the evil thing. You don't talk about it. You don't want to bring that negative energy. You know, kind of like how you're talking about Slender Man. Like, you don't want to talk about it because then you're going to attract it.
Yeah.
2, when it's not seen as a dark, shapeless entity, it can also appear as like a wicked, creepy old woman.
Oh.
Now, so I did read a couple stories where people were saying that you could still be attacked by the creepy woman too. Like I read a story where somebody was talking about how they like the urban legend of being in a car at a crossroad and like this thing that looked like an old woman just dashed at the car and it started slashing at the door. But it's also believed that if you see La Mala Hora as a woman, it's not so much you're going to get attacked. It's like an omen, like a death omen. Somebody close to you or in your family is going to die.
Oh my God.
Because one of the urban legends that I saw and read, it was like this woman that was driving. She saw the woman. She kind of sped past it. And then when she got home, her husband was dead.
But like, okay. Like,
that's urban legend. That's not somebody on Reddit saying, this happened to me. This is like the idea, the urban legend of La Mala Hora.
Imagine being this woman who just likes to take walks around her neighborhood. And cars just like speed past her all the time.
She just coincidentally sees you before someone you know dies. And it was just like that breaking point.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm finally going to get to cross this road. And then somebody speeds up and she's just like, F it. And she goes to just slash the car. Sounds like a nice lady.
I hate that.
So, before we jump into possible explanations regarding why 3 a.m. is known for what it is, we had a question. And I want to take the time to do it because this doesn't happen to me. But I think based on my research, it happens to other people. I posted on the Believing Bizarre Twitter. If anybody has any things related to the 3 a.m. witching hour that, they want to hear about, let me know. And this account that we kind of had a back and forth with was like, why do I keep waking up at 3 a.m.? And it's not just them. If you research it, there are a lot of reasons that people come up with for why people wake. I mean, it can also be attached to just waking up in the middle of the night, but for waking up at 3 a.m. specifically. So I got 4 potential reasons.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay.
The first idea, demonic activity. Right? I mean, that's why we're here. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to this podcast. You don't want me to tell you science. You want me to tell you about demons and witchcraft. So, think about this. That feeling that somebody is watching you, right?
Yeah.
There's no explanation. It's like, think about it as energy. It's like if you put enough energy into something, can you feel it? That's the idea that's how I come to conclusion about getting that feeling that somebody's watching you. It's just like somebody focusing so hard.
Okay, so like cut to high school. You're in your seat. You're looking, you're paying attention. You feel daggers in the back of your head. Turn around. The jock is staring at you. How do you feel that though? Like it's just eyesight, but how do you feel it?
I don't know. But then he doesn't talk about 3 a.m. He says, I'll meet you at the playground at 3 p.m.
And then he kills you.
And then he kills you. Yeah. And then you haunt him at 3 a.m.
That's right.
That idea is being awakened by, if the veil is so thin, that means that there's more opportunity for something to be in your bedroom, looking at you, interacting with you, making noise. So that is the first reason why you keep waking up at 3 a.m. Let's get into a couple of less sinister things. So Charlie, how long are you supposed to sleep a night?
6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, I think people push towards 8, but I definitely push towards 6. But yes, they say you should sleep for 8 hours. Wasn't always the case. Did you know that? It used to be 2 sleeps.
I didn't know that.
Instead of just going to sleep for one long stretch of time and then waking up, a long time ago, it used to be that you would sleep and then wake up and then go back to sleep. In Charles Dickens' novel, Barnaby Rudge, he just has this excerpt that talks about the first sleep because in the 1840s, there was 2 sleeps. He knew this, even in the horror with which he started from his first sleep. End quote. Anthropologists actually found evidence that during the pre-industrial Europe, bimodal sleeping was considered normal. It wasn't just you go to sleep once. It's you sleep, you wake up for a little bit of time, and then you go back to sleep. But the time in between wasn't like you sleep, have a day, and then sleep. Because the idea was that you only wake up for a few hours and then you sleep until dawn. So this waking up in the middle of the night, people would wake up. It's kind of like you ponder your dreams. You think about what you're going to do the next day. A lot of people would have sex. Relaxing, sewing, reading, things like that. It wasn't meant to be a high activity time. Unless you're having sex, I guess. But that depends on your sex game.
I really like that. I think that's such a nice idea.
Yeah. So if that is kind of, think about things that are ingrained in us. If that is ingrained in us, or maybe like in your genes, like maybe not everybody, but your heritage or whatever, if you believe in that type of a thing, maybe people tend to wake up in the middle of the night because our ancestors did. So that's one option. Third option is liver activity.
What?
Like your liver. That thing inside you?
Yeah, that thing that you can only get replaced once you die.
Yeah. Well, you don't really replace it when
you don't.
die.
Yeah. When you
don't need another one when you're dead.
Someone, takes it out of you.
Between 1 and 3 a.m. is apparently the peak time for the liver to do its thing. So if you don't have a good liver, if you don't have a good diet, if you don't have a good lifestyle, if you drink a lot and you're putting a lot of pressure on the liver with processed foods, fatty foods, alcohol, then the liver is going to be having a hard time. That can actually cause you stress and to wake up. Science.
So sometimes you wake up and you have to go to the bathroom so bad?
Sure. Maybe. The fourth thing is stress/depression. If you have high anxiety, if you have depression, there's a really good chance that you will suffer from restlessness, agitation, and just overall poor sleep because you're too in your head, you're tossing and turning, and it's just to get a full night's sleep, you have to be able to relax. You have to be able to kind of put your mind at ease. And if you're depressed, anxious, that's just not going to happen. And that can actually lead to waking up in the middle of the night, say 3 a.m. So just, and one more little tidbit before we get back to possible explanations for the witching hour. Ways to fix waking up in the middle of the night is basically kind of the opposite of the stress, is relaxing. It's practice deep breathing.
Oh, just calm down?
Calm down. Calm down.
Oh, okay.
Meditation. This is one that I use personally, which really helps. Read something. My notes say read something boring, but I don't want to say that. I think just reading and kind of getting lost in a story from a book, not a Kindle, not your phone, a book, helps your mind kind of go to ease. It says do not use your cell phone because it's kind of like the light and the transmissions that go into your eyes and stuff from your phone. It's bad. It actually, you really shouldn't be sleeping with your phone. I'm guilty of this, but you know, don't look at your phone right before bed if you want peaceful sleep and you don't want to wake up at the witching hour. So now let's break into 3 possible explanations for the witching hour. 1, it's true. It's all true. Right?
All 4 things?
The veil. No.
Oh, okay.
Those are reasons for why you wake up in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Which is separate from the overarching story. I was answering somebody's question.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're out and about at night, like La Mala Hora, that does nothing to do with waking up. That's just you existing at 3 a.m. So we're talking about just 3 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Okay.
Nothing to do with sleeping.
Gotcha.
Well, not necessarily. I have one thing in here. It's true. The veil is the thinnest. It's malleable, and it's just super, super thin between 3 and 4. And demonic activity and rituals are at its highest. And we can feel that. Because I think even if you're not the most sensitive person, I think human beings have the ability to kind of detect that. Children more than adults because children's imagination is vast. But even as adults, I think we all get that creepy feeling. It exists. Oh, even if it's not 3 a.m., that creepy feeling exists.
How many kids are just like, I imaginary friend, Mr. Killian?
I know. I think that's all about repression. The second possible explanation is kind of a mix between REM, rapid eye movement sleep, and just kind of imagination. So 3 a.m., if you go to sleep at a normal time, which I know a lot of people don't, I certainly do not, but if you go to sleep at a normal time, like let's say between 9 p.m., 10 p.m.,
9
whatever.
p.m.
If you wake up, 3 a.m. is like a really solid time for REM, rapid eye movement. Or what is that? That is when you're dreaming. That is when your imagination is going wild. If you were to wake up during that time, it's heightened. And you might wake up feeling groggy, a little anxious, and disoriented, where that might be a time where you see something in your room that's not really there. Or you hear something in your room that's not really there. I think people also... Well, we'll get into that next. So REM, waking up right from rapid eye movement and kind of having those type of hallucinations in the immediate effect in your room, which doesn't necessarily explain people who are awake and just traveling and if something creepy were to happen, but kind of like that isolation in your bedroom.
Yeah, that like feeling. Man, REM, it's a good band.
Yeah.
You like
Orange Crush, right?
Losing My Religion.
Losing My Religion.
Yeah, I like that song.
So the third possibility is both 2 and 1 without the paranormal, which is sad. I know it's sad. It's combining the creepiest part of night where people feel creepy to be out and about. It is the farthest from sunset, it is the farthest from sunrise, with waking up from REM and having low cognitive ability, not because you're stupid, but because you just woke up and you're disoriented. It's kind of, and it ties itself into the overall belief that that is a spooky time of night. Like buying into it, believing that it is a scary time of night. Even if it's not truly, like if there is no veil, if there are no demons or spirits, this idea is buying into it. It's already a groggy part of the night and then letting your imagination run wild. Paranormal, it's human paranormal. You're putting the paranormal out there based on feeling creeped out and things you think about rather than there actually being a ghost in your bedroom or what have you. Those are my explanations. That is my detailing of the witching hour. So let's move on to the discussion. So one of the biggest issues I have with the witching hour is time zones, because it's 5 p.m. somewhere and it's 3 a.m. somewhere.
Right.
Where is your mind at? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking you've been awake all hours of the night.
Yeah, I've pulled an all-nighter.
You've many all-nighters, I think, yeah?
At least probably 10.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything weird at 3 a.m.?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have like 2 paranormal stories that exist, and one of them did happen at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that was like 3:20, right?
No,
It was like 3 on the dot.
It felt like about 10 minutes later that I checked the clock and it was 3:11. It feels weird alluding to something we're not talking about though, but go ahead with your
The
thoughts.
Conjuring takes place at like 3 something.
Yeah, the clock stopped in The
Mhm.
Conjuring.
Conjuring's such a good movie.
It's a very good movie. Good child acting.
Yeah. But that I think that is also a mockery in that movie.
Yeah, that was, yes, when I was researching about that and they were talking about the upside down cross in
Yeah.
3 a.m. versus 3 p.m., they actually mentioned The Conjuring and the clock stopping. But also, like, if you hear a pounding, like, and you hear, like, 3 pounding, it's like, it's just the mockery of 3.
Bro, if I hear the pounding in the house at 3 a.m., I'm getting the fuck out of the house.
What if there's 2 poundings?
Ugh.
Maybe that demon just can't count. They're like, haha, I got him good. They're like, Jeffrey, you have to do it 3 times.
He's like, 1, 2, 3. Oh.
Cut time.
Has it always been a thing? Has this always been a thing?
It went back to like the 1500s. It became more relevant in the 1800s.
I don't like to be awake at that time.
No, but is it because you honestly believe that there's like a demonic presence or there's a thinner veil? Or is it just the idea of the darkness?
Even with the lights on, there's still a creepiness about it.
I feel it is a creepy time. It is a creepy time. It's like it's that time where you know you're up too late. It's not quite like that 4 or 5 a.m. where it's starting to get light outside. It's still nighttime. It's not close to morning. It's technically morning. But there is something very unknown. Like, what does anything good happen at 3 a.m.? What is if you're working third shift, you're getting paid, I guess. But like, does anything great happen at 3 a.m.?
The 2 best things that happen is that Scared to Death drops its episode at 3 a.m. on Wednesday, and we come out at 3 a.m.
I guess that's true.
Those are the 2 best things that happen at 3 a.m.
There might be the only 2 things.
Also, when Games Done Quick does its thing, they're on all the time. So it's a little comforting to watch like Games Done Quick at 3 a.m.
I have no idea what that is.
It's a game thing where they do speedruns
real quick. They do it done quick like?
Yeah, for a week straight they do games.
Video games?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't know. You ever wake up super late and have a snack or something?
Not anymore. Why do you get creepy feelings going to the fridge? But see, how much of this is real versus how much has been implanted in my brain? It's like when you have a medicine cabinet in a bathroom and you open it up without thinking about it, and then you're just a little afraid to close it. Because you know in every movie you see, as soon as you shut that mirror, there's somebody behind you. You know what I mean?
I don't close it.
If I just leave it open.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell if it's something that's planted in us or if it's something we truly feel. I'm leaning towards skeptical, but I had a 3M experience. So, jeez.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Yeah, I'm going to say viable. I'm going to say viable, which is I feel out there saying that. Like, I feel like this should be on the lower end of the spectrum in believability. And I apologize if I just laid everything out, making it seem like I was going to go skeptical, and now I'm jumping the shark. But I'm going to say viable.
Well, I'll do one better. I think it's believable.
You think it very believable?
I think it's believable. The veil is thinner at 3 a.m.
To what?
I don't know. Something else. Do I have to know?
No, you don't. You know what? You don't have to. You do have to explain yourself. But
I think the veil is thinner to something else. Whether that be another dimension, the spirit realm, I don't know, the shadow realm from Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know, man. It could be anything. But I think there's a looser connection at that time.
I can't do it. I can't. I feel like a fraud. I'm going skeptical. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
I felt like a fraud saying it.
I feel like the rug just got pulled out from me.
I'm sorry. No. It's very interesting, and it definitely could be true. I'm not saying unbelievable. There's still that part of me that feels creepy. I'm going to go skeptical, though.
Well, shoot.
So if you guys are liking the content and you want to hear your content on Believing the Bizarre, shoot us your personal stories, your hometowns, urban legends, anything like that to believingthebizarre@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. But I'm Charlie.
And I am Tyler. And until then, join us on our next episode of Believing the Bizarre.